home in Lethbridge, Alberta. We had a lot of people that were interested in the topic that we covered 2 days ago as to whether Canada or the US is a better place to go to. Now, I just finished an amazing podcast with one of my good friends that is going to be released today, if we can get it out, that talks about and expands a little bit more on some of the things that we talked about in the last Q&A. Now, this really, yes, it's a Q&A, but I want you to understand that more importantly, at the beginning of each of these videos that I'm doing on the Canadian Immigration Institute, it's to share helpful tips, helpful information to help all of you guys out there. Now, I'm broadcasting not only to YouTube, but to Facebook, to Periscope, which is so cool. But I'm also noticing that people are jumping on and then they're not quite seeing the value, I think, because we do so much introduction to people that are tuning in. And so this time I want everyone who's watching this live to realize that I will jump in and talk specifically about the draws. And then as I go forward, I will be shouting out to people like Karen and Raj here and Ralph who have tuned in because this does form a really important part of what I'm doing. And so I do want to give shouts out to people who are tuning in. But the most important thing right now is that people realize this is awesome content on Canadian immigration. And because of what's happening in the US right now, there is a real significant interest in Canada as a destination for immigration, even more so than there has been in the past. And many of you, especially who are tuning into this particular title about express entry, are realizing that things are changing significantly. And the question that everyone is asking me right now is, will Canada actually, are they ever going to do another FSW draw in 2020? That's the question. And that is what I'm going to talk about today. So if you're curious as to whether or not Canada is going to do another draw, stay tuned. I'm going to get to that in just a little bit. Now, I do want to identify at the bottom this little scrolling ticker. I've had a bunch of things explained to me. I am all about being helpful, giving information, this whole concept of authentic is just really goofy, but just being genuine and just doing this to help people. So that's why I do my open-ended, post your question, post your comment, and I'll answer it. That's why I give this information freely, is because I genuinely want to help people as they're trying to determine if Canada is the best place for them. And in terms of express entry or some of the other avenues, just helping them to avoid some of the common pitfalls and understanding how this whole world is working. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now, with all of that being said, you can see at the bottom, I've got this little scrolling ticker that's going across here. You can see it. Let's trace it right there. One thing that was made apparent to me is that I have to be careful that I'm not providing legal advice. Now, many of you know that I am, and you should know by now, that I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer. And what I see myself as doing here is providing as much helpful information as possible. Now, you'll also know that at times people ask a question that's very specific. In other words, it's specific to them. That, you guys, constitutes legal advice. And from now on, when someone posts a comment like that, if I pull it up and it looks like it's specific information that they're asking that would constitute legal advice, I'm going to hit the bell and I'm going to identify so that you guys can see the difference. But at the first and foremost, before we get any further down the road, I want to emphasize that this is information, guys. This should not be interpreted and taken as legal advice. So there's a disclaimer. Wah, wah, wah. All right, maybe we could do this one here. Okay. So that's the disclaimer. All right, now enough of that. Let's get rid of this. It's distracting. Let's get into some of the things that we're talking about. So right off the bat, let's take a look at this express entry craziness and see what's happening. So you guys can see right here, this is the most recent round of invitation that happened when? Well, June 25th. What's today? Let's pull up my little phone here. Today it's telling me that it is June 25th. So today's Thursday. It's not Wednesday. So anyone who thinks that the draws are always happening on Wednesday are going to be surprised. And so as I look again, yes, we are Thursday the 25th. There was also yesterday, though, another draw. And if we look at the previous rounds of invitations, you'll see that just on the 24th, yesterday, round 153 was just for the PNP classes, and this one was 696. What does that mean? It means that someone who had a provincial nomination only had 96 human capital points, right? So is PNP attractive? Yes, if you're in Canada and if you're eligible to go through one of those employer-sponsored routes. Because generally, those are the people that are actually only reaching 96 comprehensive ranking system points, okay? But with that being said, let's go back here, and I want to point out something massively significant, which many of you are asking me right now. Will there be another federal skilled worker draw this year? Look at what's happened. 431. It has been an unbelievably long period of time since we've dipped down below, really down to the 430 level. We had 437, we're down to 431. And if we look at the previous rounds of invitations, those of you who are tuning in for express entry purposes will realize, as you're looking to immigrate to Canada, that we've had 437, you can see here. Then we had a PNP, we skipped that one. 440, you can see it's slowly been going down and down. 447, then before that it was 452, and as we go all the way back, 455 to when they stopped doing them, even 464, you can see right here, that one right here was still Canadian experience class. So we're slowly pulling people out. And why is Canada doing that? It's because they are doing their very best to try to help the people that have already made it to Canada as international students and international workers. And so by doing just these Canadian experience class draws, they're making sure that the people who have sunk time, money, resources into coming to Canada, that they're given the first crack right now at these positions. But you can see there's still 3,508 invitations that were issued. So you can imagine how many people are sitting in the pool. And if we go down here, you guys can see that anyone now that's up over you can see 450, there is 21,244 people at 450 and above. And who are these people? Well, some might be CECs, but generally speaking, they're you federal skilled worker folks. So you can see very easily that it is going to take a lot of time. And if we break it down here, you can see the 450 to 460, 8,000. More than likely, those individuals are largely made up of FSW. Same thing for 460 to 470, 7,000 of them. 471 to 480 is only 4,015. And this is what I want you to understand. If, and we'll talk about this in a second, if immigration decides to issue another open round that scoops out federal skilled worker folks, understand that the first round is probably going to be in the very high 480s, if not almost to the level of 490, depending upon where things sit when that draw happens. But it really is tough to exceed 480. It's really hard to get up there. So you can see the numbers have been swelling in this range right here, 460 to 470, but they've remained relatively stagnant at this level. They've been going up marginally. And the reason is because you pretty much need to have a little bit better than a master's degree. You really are under 30 years of age. You have 3 years of skilled work experience, and your English is off the charts, like higher than a CLB 9. So that's what we're looking at, guys, right now. So let's get back to the realities, and I'm gonna shift my screen back to the original view here. What you guys need to understand is that until the travel restrictions are lifted, they're not going to issue another federal skilled worker draw. It's just not going to happen. And so until they sort things out, until the overseas missions are able to have officers back into those offices functioning normally, the federal skilled worker program is going to be, continue to be suspended. There's going to be very few that are coming through because of the need for biometrics, because of the need for confirmations of permanent residence, the permanent resident visas being put right into the passports. I just had a consult with the client just today where we notified IRCC that he was unable to travel. His COPR and his permanent resident visa are expiring at the end of this month. And we needed to notify them that he wasn't going to be able to travel and that they need to hold his PR application and don't cancel it. If you're in that situation, you need to do the same thing. It's something I help my clients with all the time. We can usually do it in about 20 minutes. And so if you need any help with that, don't hesitate to reach out because I can help you with that to protect and preserve your right if you've already been approved. Those of you who have applications pending, they're going to be pending for a while. But those of you who are looking at this, you're wondering to yourself as we flip back here, you're wondering, are these rounds of invitations ever going to be issued so that they are open to all categories and not just the Canadian Experience class? Well, until the travel restrictions are lessened, until things are opened up for individuals to be able to travel, I do not see another federal skilled worker draw happening until that happens, until the travel restrictions are lifted. Now, what does that mean for all of you guys that are outside wondering, is it even worth it? Well, of course it's worth it. And the reason it's worth it for you to continue submitting your profiles is because of this thing right here. It's called the Tiebreaker Rule. So if you sit on your hands and you say, you know what? I'm not going to submit a profile. There's no point in doing it. There's not going to be any invitations that are going to happen anyways. You have to realize that if you look right here, this tiebreaker rule is pretty new because every Canadian Experience class candidate, many of them are being drawn out and drawn out. Only new people, like the scores as far as the tiebreaker rule, anyone who submitted an application that had 431 as their comprehensive ranking system score, that submitted it after 12:56:32 UTC didn't get drawn. Now it's possible that 431 given, and you can see here, there isn't an even number. Usually they have even numbers. Well, because there was an odd number, I'll bet that everyone that had 431 was probably drawn. They just set that as the mark. And the tiebreaker was probably on April the 3rd, 2020. That was the last individual at 431 who just submitted an application on April the 3rd. So what I'm saying is you need to be able to take advantage of that tiebreaker. Because if we get down here and there's a draw that sits right at 471, okay, and the cutoff, they then look at everybody that's at 471 and who's had their profile in the pool the longest. So take that into consideration. If you've been sitting for 8 months and a whole bunch of other people are slowly putting their applications in that also have 471, but they've submitted after you, well, what's the result? You're going to get that invitation to apply and they are not going to get it. All right. So I wanted to make sure that you guys all understood that and that I took a lot of time to explain it. And I wanted to do that right at the beginning to reward the people who are tuning in and watching these videos, because I think I lose people quickly because they don't appreciate how awesome this information is. And I make no bones about it. Now, back to the issue of legal advice. Those of you who are wondering who this Mark Holthe is, what is he doing? I do want to shift back and I want to show you one other thing here. So if you go to the Law Society of Alberta, on the Law Society of Alberta, you can search for this Find a Lawyer. You just type the person's name in. So if I type in Holthe here and I type in Mark and then I search, we'll see if it likes me. There I come up. Okay, and this is how you can tell if it's really an immigration lawyer you're dealing with or an immigration consultant or some other unauthorized representative. And I've said repeatedly to you guys that our mission at my firm right here, Holthe Immigration Law, not only is all about immigration being done better and differently, but the reality is, what I want you to understand is that I believe that every single person has the right, should have the opportunity to hire an immigration lawyer to help them. Why should they have to settle for anything less? And so that's the mission that I'm behind, to give every single person access to justice and access to the ability to have an immigration lawyer helping them. And are there good consultants out there? You bet there are. There are good consultants out there, but I'll tell you, they are few and far between, and it is really difficult to find. If I screw something up, guess what happens? You guys notify the Law Society of Alberta and I am screwed. If I mismanage your file, if I am negligent in how I represent you, how I advise you, you can report me to the Law Society. That does not exist with the Immigration Representative Association. They're working on things, sure. But until something better happens, are you getting your money back? They have no ability to give your money back. The Law Society of Alberta sure does have an ability to compensate you. But even that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the ability that you have to access the very, very, to access legal counsel if you desire to do that. And I'll leave it at that. Okay? So, remember, immigration lawyer right here, giving away all the free information that everybody else charges. Okay, now I'm going to jump in and let's shout out and see who's here. So we've got a Facebook user from Nepal. I'm going to shrink this down because it's a little bit big. Okay, we've got cheers from Steve. Charlie Brown, that's awesome. Okay, my Tommy says, how you doing? You're dressed very well today. Thank you very much. We've got someone from Pakistan. Amit says, it's good to see you. And I want to tell you guys again that YouTube and Facebook, neither of them liked the music that I had in my intro that says going live in however long. They didn't like that. And they said it was copyright. And it wasn't, because I actually got permission to use that. But regardless, I now am trying to find ways to make sure that YouTube and Facebook is not going to cause problems with my live videos. Okay, Kazim says hello. We've got Sumain, who's down in Pakistan. Mina is over there in Toronto. Mina, woo, awesome, so happy. Look at the celebration here. See him in this image? He's celebrating. I don't know if you guys can see this. He is celebrating. It is so awesome. I'm so happy for you, my friend. So happy. Okay, Lafiam says, what's your email address? The best way to reach out, guys, is for you to go to the website. This is hands down the best because I get hundreds of emails every day. And if you want to reach out and you need any assistance, go to the website, click start here, and then fill in the consult request form. Okay, that is the best way to get direct access to me and my team. All right, moving on. Anointed Carnley says, good afternoon. Hello. We've got Ange from Algeria. We've got Feroz from Afghanistan. Naveen says hi. Peace to you too, Naveen. Great to have you here. Let's see here. We've got Shahid from India. We've got a great group of people. And then we've got a bunch of people that are posting comments. Samir says CEC makes a lot of sense right now. It actually does. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that you guys can see it a little bit better. Sorry. And I was actually going to do something different. I forgot. Yes, I was going to do this. And then I was going to shift my camera. I forgot about this. Yes, over here. Without losing my image. I think I'm okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was going to do this so that I have more room for these questions because they were blocking my face. On the fly, this is how we do it. Okay, and then this will help. So we'll get to the questions in just a little bit, guys. We'll do a few more shout outs. We've got Nigeria connection here. Facebook says, are LMIs being approved? Yep, they are, and we'll get to this. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, sir, are you speaking a lot but answer to our comments? Feroz, of course I answer your comments. Remember, you are getting what you pay for, my friend. And how much are you paying? Maybe I should start charging $5 for every question, and you can guarantee that you've got your question answered if you pay me $5. How does that sound? I don't think people are in favor of that. Maybe they are. I don't know. Comment below. If you could pay $5 to get your question answered, would you pay that? I'm like one of those gamers, right? Of course, I'm not in favor of that. But anyways, okay, let's see who else we have here who's tuning in. I'm going to give a few more shout outs. There's lots of questions being posted. Samir's over in Brazil. Great to have you. Anbu's in Miami. We've got someone from Germany, Abu Dhabi, US, Dhaka. Great group here. Viral, good to see you here. Freya is tuning in. Good to see you, Freya. So we've got a really, really good group of people that are tuning in. Okay, so now what I want to do with all of this that's going on right now, now is the time where I'm going to start shifting to your questions. Now, those of you who are watching, I want to let everyone know that, and actually I'm going to adjust my camera just a little bit here, and then I am going to shift over this way in my chair. I think that's better. So it's actually probably better for my mic too. So what I'm going to do, because I want this to be fair, I am going to go through and pick the questions that I think are going to be the most useful to everybody. And I don't want people to feel like they have to race to answer to post their comments. Make your question a good one, and you're more likely to get it answered. And I think that's how I'm going to approach it, because it's a race to submit. And then often people who have really good questions don't get them answered because of all the people that are posting comments. So make your question good, and it may just get answered, because I have to do more of a staggered approach here. Whatever you do, please don't just post your comment 500 times, because that's also not going to help. It will cause me tremendous grief is what it will do. Okay, let's see what we got here. So I'm actually going to go back up a little bit to the top and just see if we've got some. And let's see here. So Kuratan. Oh, actually, I got to tell you something else. This is another thing that kind of makes me kind of chuckle. So I know that lots of immigration consultants purchase my Express Entry DIY course, and that's wonderful. I'm really glad that they do, because if it can help them to increase their knowledge, to be able to provide better advice to other people, then great. I have no issues with it. But I want to give you an example of one of the things that kind of troubles me a little bit. Actually, it makes me kind of irritated. Someone decided they were going to purchase a 1-month subscription. They went in, looked at everything, and then requested a refund. And then when Igor asked them who they were, they said, "Oh, I'm just a consultant, and I just wanted to see, what was in there." So there you go. That's a perfect example of, someone that I just frustrates me. Okay, I'll leave that. Sorry. Okay, Kolratan says, I've got a question. I do have a score of 445. Will I get an ITA in today's draw of CEC, as the tiebreaker date is 3rd of April? Yes, if you've got 445, of course. And if you are a CEC, then there is no reason whatsoever why you should not get drawn. You should be pulled from it, hands down. And in fact, if you're at 432, you should receive an invitation to apply. That's how it works. All right, let's see what we've got here. We're scrolling through. Let's see. We've got Feroz. Yeah, I said you're from Afghanistan. That's great. So see, I do respond to your comments. Okay, Amna says, "Hi Mark, I want to know, what is the fee for withdrawing a sponsorship application?" Well, understand, if you're withdrawing it, it depends at the stage in which you're at. If they've started to process it, then withdrawing, you can't get your application fee back. So everything but the right of landing fee, the sponsor fee, and the applicant fee, you will lose that if they're far enough along that they're starting to process it. If it's not, and you request a refund before it's actually gets before an officer for processing, then often you will get your full money back. Okay. All right. Roj says, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Your videos are really informative. Thank you. Does IRCC require a police certificate if someone has lived in different cities within the same country? Thanks and stay safe." That depends entirely on the requirements of the country. Pakistan, the police certificates are issued by city, right? By police jurisdiction, region. And so because of that, understand that you may very well need multiple for the same country. But for most countries, you don't. So in your situation, if you're applying for a police certificate, wow, that's really big here, isn't it? I'm going to shift over here. I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to search for police certificate, EE-IRCC. I've already searched for this. I can easily pull it up. So you can see the key for you to know what you should do and what you shouldn't do, or what you need to do and what you don't need to do, all comes from here. So if I'm looking for Pakistan and I search Pakistan, I follow these instructions explicitly. This is the source of all goodness. This is the source of all information. You can see here in larger cities, it gives you an explanation of where you need to go. In smaller cities, it explains where you need to go. And it says here, all documents, you need to get an application form and complete it. All the documents and information you will need are listed on the application form. And so you go through this and you have to actually request for the regions in which you've lived. But not all countries are like that. But this is the key. Go here, go to the site, and follow the instructions here. Always go to the source. All right? Okay, flip back here. Okay, so here's a good example. So this is it here. Okay, so we'll copy that. Okay. Okay, so this one's here. I'm going to post this one just so that you guys can all see it. And then I'm going to hit this. Do you hear that? For those of you who are tuning in a little bit later, this symbol right here means that this question is actually legal advice. And what do you do if you need legal advice? Well, you go here to Mark's site and you book a consultation. So this is one of the things that I'm trying to teach people is general information. I can do it. But if it says, here's my qualifications, these are my, this is my background, do I qualify? That constitutes legal advice. And that's not something that I can actually offer here in this live Q&A because it's all about information. Specific stuff, you guys really need to book a paid consult. Why do I do that? Why do I not just answer this person's question? It's because I don't have all the information. And imagine if I answered a question without all the information that I needed to give you proper legal advice, and then this person here relied upon it, okay, and to their detriment. Well, then they could bring a complaint to the Law Society for me giving them advice and them relying upon it negligently. Well, for me giving negligent advice and them relying upon it. So that's why I have to be really, really careful. But notwithstanding that, guys, I think you guys can see that I'm very, very generous in the information that I give. And I don't just hide behind, oh, I can't answer that because it's legal advice, because there's a lot of things that are not, that are just general information. And that's why I started this. That's why I do it. Okay. Okay, so this one says, looks like the border restrictions right here. See if we can get this live. Nice shoes. Says, looks like the border restrictions will be extended to July and also no hope for FSW. We have become silent spectators. Exactly. Right now, that is the case. I would agree with you. Okay, let's skip through here. Let's see here. And another one here. I'll just post this. Right here, I'm going to post that one. And you guys can kind of see it. It's kind of hard to read. But basically, Angie's asking this right here. So once again, this is a specific legal question that relates to whether or not they should do something. Should I accept it or not? I don't have nearly enough facts to be able to answer that one. Okay, I think that's good. I think you guys understand this, right? So keep the questions very, very general. All right. Like this one, for instance, from the Facebook user, which was asked before. Our LMIA is being approved. Yes, this is something that I can answer. They are, but there is significant priority given to certain occupations. And because you asked it, if you are one of those individuals that is looking to immigrate to Canada, and I'm going to show you here, see, Temporary Foreign Worker Program, LMIA. I'm going to see if I can pull this up right now to show you guys. Okay, I'm going to show you. I'm going to flip this over. Okay, so if you look here and then I go to the high wage, low wage stream, I'm just zipping. This is to the Foreign Worker Program. You will see that there's the latest notices. Okay, and so when you're going through this process, let's just take high wage streams. We'll just take that. Okay, so there is within these pages here, consult the changes to the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. So we click on here. They've got some instructions here. Let me see if I can just find the directive that describes. Okay, maybe it's here. Okay, that's the stream. Unbelievable! I just finished looking at this just the other day. Did they pull it off? It had a very, very clear. Okay, we're going to go right in here, guys, and we're going to find this. Now it's frustrating me. That talks about the priorities when they're actually processing applications. So let's just see here if I can find this. This is really frustrating now. Let's see. Oh, man. It's gone. I don't know where it is. Oh, no. Is it here? Dude, higher unemployment. Okay, that's great. Okay, here we go. Yes. Yes, I found it. I found it. Okay. So you can see right here, the answer to your question in detail is right here. Wow. And they even issued it on my anniversary, my 25th anniversary, June 10th. So you can see here, they've listed the occupations that are prioritized across the provinces. So if your occupation fits into one of these, butchers, agriculture, you can see lots of agriculture, food supply, things to protect Canada's food supply network. All of those are prioritized. And then and in certain circumstances, they're waiving minimum recruitment efforts for these positions. And here you can see they've got nurses, doctors, medical, respiratory, all of these, light duty cleaners, transport truck drivers. So all of these are super important and critical to infrastructure. So that's where the LMIAs come from. That's why certain other positions are just going to take a lot longer to get the LMIAs approved. I'm actually in the process of working for one of my good friends who is looking to recruit general farm workers. So that's one that I've just started doing right now. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you, and once again, make this as helpful as I possibly can. Okay, good question there. All right, hello to you. Hi, Mark Bro. Okay, let's go through here. Okay, and some people are asking very, very specific questions. Remember, if you're specific, I'm going to jump past them. Okay, and anything relates specifically to you. Let's see here. Okay, so this is a question actually that I will answer from Karen. Even though it has elements of specificity, this is something that's actually useful for a lot of you. So he says, I got my documents, and I think this, I'm trying to see what the best way of reading this is. I think you guys can probably see that. I could probably make the background just a little bit darker, and then it would be a little bit more visible for you guys. Actually, I wonder if I can do it right on the fly. Let's see if I can do that for the background here. Let's see if we can make it just a little bit darker. Let's see here. Let's see if that helps. How's that? Is that? Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better on the fly. Okay, so he says, I got my documents plus biometrics, meds, blah, 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 in March by February 11th. Okay, so in March by February 11th, just waiting for the yay or nay. Is it worth getting GCMS? Okay, you guys have to understand that when it comes to the delays right now, we know why things are not going anywhere. It's because the travel restrictions. If you're outside of Canada, everything is suspended. They're not moving forward with it. They've actually parked these for now until they know that people can actually travel. So there's nothing stopping you from requesting the GCMS notes. In fact, they probably come back in about 3 weeks now, sometimes sooner. There's nothing stopping you from doing it, but I don't think you're going to find anything in there. For all intents and purposes, it's more likely than not that you are just normally in the queue, and it's the travel restrictions and everything that's preventing you from coming. Okay, here's a good one. This one's from Ogie. Says, thank you, Mark, for this, but to my understanding, do you mean it's better to enter the pool and wait till there is a draw? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, because of the cutoff mark. It's better if you are at a level where there's going to be a really high level of competition. If the round of invitation falls right on that CRS total, right on that number that you have, then if they are going to be, if they're not able to give everybody at that level an invitation to apply, they will issue the cutoff. And then anyone who has submitted a profile after the cutoff time is not going to be able, well, they won't receive an ITA. So that's why it's advantageous to put your profile in the pool. You can always update it. If things change, you can always update it. And there's no cost to submitting your application into the pool. And I do this all the time for my clients. But I make sure when I do it that everything is correct. I review the documents, I review the supporting letters, I review everything to make sure that I can substantiate everything that I have in the pool. I don't just randomly throw one in. Because what if you get a draw? Like, what if you're actually given an invitation to apply? Then what do? Oh my goodness. The number of consults I do with people like that, where then we have to go back and we have to look carefully and see if we can actually prove it. If we can't, then they have to decline the ITA anyways and go back into the pool and then correct it. And then on their immigration history, it shows all of the changes that have been made. And then we have to explain, okay, I originally put my primary knock as this, but now I changed this, and lots of letters of explanation. All right, good question. Okay, Okay, so this one is from Michelle. It says, nice to see you again. I'm currently waiting for my open work permit for spousal sponsorship, including my kids as my dependent. Can I sponsor her as a student or visitor now? I'm assuming your child. Once again, this one here, I'm going to give a little bit of a triangle to, because this one actually does relate to legal advice. And whether or not you can sponsor her or to bring her as a student or a visitor depends on the circumstances. And I need a whole lot more information than is provided here that I could possibly answer in this type of a scenario. Okay, Rochelle? So once again, if it's legal advice, then you guys really need to go right here and book a consult. We can go through everything. And I'm not, please understand, this was made abundantly clear to me by an ethics person, someone that I trust when it comes to the work that I'm doing. I'm all about access to justice. I'm all about trying to help people as much as I can. But I have to make sure that I'm on side with my code of professional conduct and that I am not establishing legal relationships with the people that I am answering questions to. That doesn't stop me, though. It does not stop me, but I do have to be a lot more careful. So in your situation, Ange, I really need to know. I should say, Rochelle, I really need to know a lot more information about that in order to be able to advise you. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, here's a good one. So this one is from Ange. She says, can I cancel my application with the province at any time in order to get drawn by the government? Well, I'm not quite sure what you mean. I will tell you one thing. You can have a paper-based application in the queue with one of the provinces and still have your profile valid with Express Entry. And if you're drawn through Express Entry, those are two separate applications. You can allow both of them to continue forward and then choose whichever one works best. We are in a world where immigration, for me as an officer, a former officer, a current immigration lawyer, we're in a world where I consider immigration almost like a buffet. It's not quite the buffet, all you can eat buffet it used to be. But now, if I have multiple options for a client, I will pursue all of them because there's no guarantee with anything anymore. And everything is so volatile, you never want to give up an opportunity. So if I have to pursue two at the same time, then I do it now, mostly because I just can't trust that everything is going to be perfect, that the government won't change something, that they won't make a very, very harsh decision over something that normally would never equate to getting an application returned. This one-touch world that the immigration uses when in processing is a reality, and you have to be so, so careful with it. All right, we'll zip through here. Get down to some more. Okay, so we'll give a shout out here to Musa. So Musa says, hi Mark, I've just landed 1 week ago in Winnipeg and I'd like to thank you. You have made a great change in my life with your advices and because you really are the trusted lawyer and a friend. Musa, I am so stoked for you. That is so cool. There's nothing that I love more than when past people that I've worked with come on here just to say hi. Musa had no need to do this. He was there. He's in Manitoba. He's in Winnipeg, which is where I completed my law degree. And so I'll give you a huge, massive shout out, Musa. That is so cool. And we'll have to have you join me as a guest. I also had another client that went through just last night and was able to go through the border from the US and get his permanent residence. So, so happy. That makes everything that I do totally worth it. So big, big shout out there to Musa. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, Mahida, I'm going to pull yours up here too, Mahida, because it is a valid question. With this image, we've got this bigger thing here, but I think you guys can still see the question here. IRCC announced for PR applications, approval can travel. I finished medical and interview before March 18th. Is there any chance to approve my application and finalize during COVID-19? Mahadi, yes. So you are in that limbo stage where until the travel restrictions are lifted, your application isn't going to be approved. It's being parked. And only if you've received notification before March 18th, I think it's maybe on or before March 18th, are you able to use that to travel to Canada and to complete your landing. Anyone that has their application still in the queue or pending, you're going to be in limbo for quite a while. Okay. All right. Here's another question, but it's general. So, hi Mark, if someone has a job offer and approval application letter possible to travel to Canada, it all depends. That's something I can't answer actually. When was it issued? What kind of approval? Where was the application submitted? What country are you traveling from? So you can see this kind of a question, although I say I can't answer it, it really falls under that kind of a category, right? And so this is, hopefully I can help you guys to understand. In your situation, Emmanuel, we would need to do one of these. We would need to get together and we need to look at everything and have you book a consult so that we can review everything together. Once again, this is all about trying to be as helpful as I possibly can. But the last thing in the world I would ever want to do is to say to Emmanuel, yeah, go for it. You can totally travel, not knowing any other information, or saying, no, you can't when maybe he could. So Emmanuel, unfortunately, that's not something I can answer for you, my friend. Okay. Nazmul, you're very welcome. I'm happy to help. Karen says, you should charge some money, Mark, but we appreciate this. Hey, you guys retain me and understand. I want to show you guys something here. Like over the last little while, one of the things that really helps me to have the ability to do this is this right here. It's my Express Entry complete step-by-step course. This course right here that I created for all of you is the way that I earn passive income. And that passive income allows me to do this for free. That's why I do it. People that are otherwise struggling to afford my consult fee, or, they can go in here, they can purchase a lifetime access. They can go with a monthly subscription, which automatically renews. The monthly subscription is $97 US. Those of you, and I tell you this because you guys are here, you sit around, you watch, you are my valued supporters, you create the awesome content, you ask great questions to me. And so because of that, that's why I have this DIY 50. When you complete that and you type that into the code and click apply, it removes this, and the fee is $248.50. So you get a 50% discount. I've had a number of people purchase at the full rate this week, just because they probably didn't watch the videos and realize that there was a discount there. But I reward my faithful, the group that follows me, you guys that are so awesome. And whether you're watching on Facebook or whether you're watching YouTube, it's irrelevant to me. So thank you for all of your support, but that's what makes it all possible. So Karen, awesome. Thank you for your comment. Okay. Okay, this Facebook user says, I got an email from Service Canada about the LMIA and unemployment due to COVID-19. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. This person says, okay, for $10 and a big smile. I'll give you a huge smile. But it's not about that. Camilla from Lethbridge, welcome. Okay, this laugh says, I can't see your website. You should be able to see it. It's right on the, it's right here. You just have to type in holthylaw.com. That is the home for the site. Okay, hopefully that helps. All right. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So Shamad says, this is a good question. I appreciate if you could give me more insight on medical inadmissibility. Can a person get medically inadmissible without even knowing about it or displaying any symptoms? Okay, it's entirely possible. Let's take, for example, tuberculosis, TB. So someone could be found to have TB and not even know it, but that, as a communicable disease, would make you medically inadmissible to Canada. So it's entirely possible for you not to know about it. During your medical assessment with the panel physician, they do the routine tests. They take a look at the x-rays from your lungs. They see that there are spots on your lungs or other evidence that maybe TB exists. Then absolutely, you could be found to be inadmissible. But understand, it's not the doctor and just their finding that makes that determination. It goes to the medical branch for headquarters in Ottawa, and then they make the determination as to whether or not they feel that could cause excessive demand on Canadian health or social services, or could be basically that medical inadmissibility could impact on the health of Canadians. And so in your situation, though, those always are preceded by a procedural fairness letter. And that fairness letter gives you a chance to respond and to make your case why you feel you may not be medically inadmissible. All right? Okay, good question. Okay, Nal says, do you think that the CEC scores will fall as the CRS scores went as low as 413 in 2000 and May 2017? Yes, they did. Understand, for CEC, it's entirely possible. You guys have looked at the rate at which it's dropping, right? Now, here's what I want to point out, Nihal, because you've asked the question. So if we go back here to here, and let's go to the rounds of invitations, and let's look at the numbers, all right? So we know for CEC, so we know anything that's above, technically speaking, anything that's above pretty much the 431 to 440, anything, all of these numbers, and you can see how many there are, okay? There are so many. Well, if you start going downward and you look at the score that you were saying, will it go down to 410? Well, to get to 410, if no new people were coming in, and understand these numbers, some have been flushed out already because of the draw. These statistics are backward looking. So they were as of June 22nd, and then the round of invitation happened on June 25th. But if you go back and you look, you guys can start to do the math. Now, not everybody that has an invitation to apply actually uses it. So sometimes they decline and go back into the pool. But when it comes to these rounds of invitations, if you look at the range from basically 410, well, we take if we go 430 to 440, so if we do these two right here, there's over 15,000 people that are in this category right now. So how many rounds of invitations would need to be issued to get down to 410? Well, you can kind of do the math. We've seen that they're right around 3,500 is kind of what they've been drawing. And it all depends on how many people are in the pool underneath. Now, some of these are also PNPs, provincial nominees, but often once they get their nomination, so some people are waiting and then at the last minute get their nomination and then they can add it to their profile. Anyone at 600 or above is a provincial nominee because you can't get any more than 600 for human capital alone. So there's 316 right here at the top that are PNP only. But ultimately for you, it's going to take a long time. 15,000, 3,000, that's at least another 6 draws. Who knows? By the end of the year, will there be another federal skilled worker draw? That's a very, very good question. But as far as I'm concerned, if the travel restrictions are not lifted, then my answer is no. Simple as that. All right. Good question. Good question. Thank you, Nihal. Okay. Freya says, hey, how come the Ontario Masters isn't opening anymore? It's because they only have so many spaces. And they're utilizing the spaces to support the people inside Ontario. And they have the ability to choose when they want to open it or not. It is so heavily subscribed when it does open up that usually, you guys have seen in the past, within minutes it's full. And I think they're trying to do things that are more open, and they feel that if you are a master's student, maybe it's best that you actually have an employer and that you've got a job and that you're more likely to economically establish yourself in Canada, which is one of the things that they look at. Okay. Okay, Naki just says that her husband finished biometrics 6 months or over, and we're just waiting for the next email. I know, everybody's waiting. Everybody's waiting. Okay, let's see here. Imran's tuning in from Nova Scotia. Okay, this is a good one here. Crudy asks, what is the minimum time that I need to stay in a particular province if I get the PNP from Saskatchewan or PEI? So I think if you've watched any of my videos in the past, Crudy, I'll tell you what the minimum time is. The minimum time is you give it a good try. You do everything in your power to make your life in Saskatchewan or PEI. I can tell you that if you've got a nomination from there and you are now planning on going to one of those provinces, there are hundreds of thousands of people all over the world that would do anything to have your spot. Those provinces have had faith in you. They said, look, we're willing to extend this nomination to you. We trust that you're going to show faith in us and that you're going to reward our faith in you. So as an immigration lawyer, Canada has, from a legal standpoint, our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. When you come in genuinely, you demonstrate an intention to economically establish in that province, and you come into that province. Once you've done that genuinely, there is no restrictions with respect to travel mobility across Canada. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms affords that to everyone. But I will tell you that if you have no intention of going to Saskatchewan and PEI, I do not think it's fair that anyone accept the nomination for those provinces who have no intention of ever living there. I think it abuses the program. I think it's unfair to people that would go there and actually make those provinces better. So that's my comment with that, Crudy. Okay. Paula says, hey, Mark, so good to have you here sharing all that information. Mark, thank you. He says, I'm here watching your videos, and and he's eating bread and cheese. That's awesome. Thanks, Paula. That's awesome. Okay. Yes, I do speak a little Portuguese. And actually, if I show you guys this is an interesting part too. If you go to the Law Society, they also show if you have anything else. And I always list that I have Portuguese as one of the languages that I speak. And so I'm not nearly as sharp as I used to be. You can imagine living in Lethbridge, Alberta, the number of people from Brazil or Portugal that come here. And so it's not easy for me to keep up my Portuguese, but it's enough for me to communicate and to talk. And I always love to brush up every once in a while. So awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. All right. Continuing on here. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so Napreet says, what are the present timelines for non-essential LMIAs? I can tell you that we don't know. We really don't. There's no listed processing times. Theoretically, I was doing that little dance as I was going through all of the past pages here to try to find, I think, which page was it here? I know I was going back and forth searching to see if I could find it. No, I can't even find it. Let's just see what we've got here. These processing times, you actually can't really trust. Let's see if they're listed here. Oh, I won't go searching. But understand, Navpreet, we don't know right now. We really don't. So much is up in the air. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we'll try this one for Derek. So Derek says, I'm an engineer from the UK thinking of immigrating to Canada. What type of English tests are more suitable to me as a UK citizen? Probably the IELTS. I think the IELTS is probably a better test and the reason I say that, and I want to point out another thing to you guys, that I just released. And some of you probably know that I have multiple platforms that I go out of my way to try to help people with. And I'm going to shift my screen here. And I want to direct this. Maybe, Derek, I'm not even sure if you intended to ask this question, but just yesterday, June 24th, I released this episode of the Canadian Immigration Podcast with Garrett Lim. And what did he cover? Is the IELTS really better than the CELPIP test? What you really need to know, the difference with language instructor Garrett Lim. And so this here pretty much answers your question, my friend Derek. So go check it out, the Canadian Immigration Podcast. You can access it on iTunes, on Spotify, on pretty much everywhere you get good podcasting. You can find it there. All right, so good question, Derek. Thanks. Okay, so here's a good question, Jen. This is a tough one. Okay, she says, can I present my husband's bank account as proof of funds instead? What other forms of bank accounts may be used as proof of funds? Bank draft, certificate. Okay, so this is a general question about proof of funds. When you have a spouse, anyone out there, if they're accompanying you, you can include your spouse's bank statement as proof of funds. So obviously it's better to have it as a joint account or the funds in your name. If they are accompanying you, then I always get them to provide a letter confirming that the funds in that account are available for use for the family unit as they immigrate to Canada. If that spouse is not coming with you, then I'm far less likely to actually include that. And therefore, the funds would need to be in an account that you use. So that, understand, there's no law, there's no regulation, there's nothing about that speaking directly to it. That's purely from the interactions that I've had within the express entry process and the various questions and answers that I've had specifically with the immigration representative email inbox. And about 2 years ago, there was a lot of flurry going on about whether or not you could include a spouse. And there was some conflicting information that was coming back from the government. But now, yeah, if the spouse is coming, you can use that. But make sure that there's some kind of an affidavit or something from that spouse confirming that the funds are available for the family when you travel to Canada. Okay, all right. Okay, this is a fun one. Okay, so Abongo says, a friend of mine, I love this. Everybody's got a friend, right? Everybody's got a friend. Told me Canada is going to open all its borders by the end of June for all travels. Please can you confirm that? No. No, I cannot confirm that because it's not going to happen. Okay, I'm going to skip through to a bunch of other ones. And some of the people that have been waiting so patiently, I'm just going to zip through here. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so Igor says, express entry CEC question. Does CEC mandate having Canadian work experience knock to be the same as we claim for a foreign work experience, or those can be totally different? They can be totally different, Igor. You do not need to have you don't need to have the same knock. Once you've met the minimum requirements, which is 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada, to be eligible for the Canadian Experience class, then you can pull your other 2 years outside of Canada in a different knock. Good question. Okay. So this one, do you think the FSW will drop, Mark? Nope, I do not. I think the federal skilled worker, if it's eligibility, the pass mark's 67 points out of 100 for eligibility. That's not going to drop. And CRS, when it comes to federal skilled worker, no, I actually see that that's going to be increasing. Okay, Chantel says, I'm from South Africa. Can my husband and I apply for an open work permit? I'll give you a little bit of a ding there, but I'll also point out that you can't just apply for an open work permit without some other basis upon which to obtain it. Work permits are linked to specific programs. They're linked to accompanying dependents. They're linked to existing jobs in Canada and extending those statuses. So yeah, no. Okay, let's see what else we have here as we're closing up. We're almost running out of time. I'm just going to take a quick little peek here to see what is coming up. This is the fun part, is wondering what's coming up. Okay, yep, I do have a consult at 2. All right. Okay, Payal says, what are the new rules due to COVID-19 for PR? Any provinces open now? Understand that it's governed federally by the government of Canada. So it's not that one province is going to open and let you in. The orders in council are based at a federal level. Each province has their own requirements per se, but international travel into Canada is governed by the feds. So it's not a province by province basis. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, this is awesome. Arvind, I am so happy for you. See, this is where it pays to listen to the immigration lawyer in one of these immigration consultations where advice that's being given is not, not what the immigration lawyer tells you to do. But Arvind says, thanks for your consultation. I took your advice and got another ITA today. Fantastic. So excited. So excited. And Siddharth says 4 exams have been canceled. I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay, let's see who else we have here. Okay, this is a good question from Michelin. It says, does family organization experience count? Okay, understand if you have a family-run business, and it's going to be tougher. I've got a client just today. I'm working with this. The standard is going to be a lot higher. You need to be able to prove that you were truly an employee, that you worked those at least 30 hours a week if it's full-time you're claiming, that you perform the duties of the knock. And when it's a family-run business, things are often a lot more lax. You're not having to punch a clock at a certain time. And so there's a lot of room for some creative manipulation of those work history reference letters and things like that. So it's not easy, Michelin. It's possible. But once again, you'd have to dive into a very specific consultation for us to look at that in detail. Okay, Ghazi, hello. I'll give you a shout out there, my friend from South Asia. 70 watching, only 12 likes, only give all of you Mark's thumbs up. Amna, it's totally fine. Whether a person gives 1 like or anything. But what I do encourage people to is to subscribe and to also go check out our Twitter page. And if you look in the descriptions for the videos, whether it's the YouTube that you're watching or Facebook, go in there and subscribe to the Twitter. We're posting tons of stuff. When we get notifications about things, we're releasing it. We're letting people know. So great question. Okay. Okay, Joe says, I'm one of the 60% offs. That's great. I did offer that a little bit. Haven't offered that for a long time, and it's probably not going to come back anytime soon. But I'm grateful that you were able to access it. And Joe puts out a good point here. Once you purchase it, you have access to that version for a lifetime. Now, one thing that's happening is I am going to be updating. And when I update, it's going to be, I am going to start reissuing new subscriptions to the updated versions, because really it's like a brand new product. So it's in the works. It's in the works. Okay. Let's see here what we've got. Okay. Okay, this person says, thanks, Mark. I used to follow you a lot until I gave up my Canadian PR dream and decided to stay on the US because I can't meet the cutoff. You're awesome. I wish you all the best. Like that's a heartbreaking situation, especially in light of what's going on in the US right now. Okay, I had better end this, guys. And once again, I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to answer everyone's question. It's just not possible. There's such a large group of people. Hopefully you were able to benefit from some of the questions and that your questions were similar to the ones that I answered. If you have specific questions, this is where you go. You go to Holthe Immigration Law. Basically, it's holthelaw.com and click on the Start Here button, and it will take you right here where you can let me know the kind of issue that you have. And we do not waste time. We get you in as quickly as we possibly can because we know how important it is to get the information that you guys need. So I just wanted to give you a big shout out for anyone who wasn't able to get their questions answered. Hang in there. I'll be back again Tuesday next week and Thursday. 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is when I do it. Mountain Daylight Time, I guess it is now. But yeah, remember, and I'll see if I can actually put this back up again. I'm not sure if I can. Let's see if I can find it. Right. Actually, I'm not sure if I can. I was going to be creative and show you guys all these neat things that I have, but now I'm struggling to find my overlay because I don't know where it is. Let's see here. How about that one? Yeah, there it is. Okay, I'm going to post this. Once again, it's my fancy little disclaimer, but I want to thank all of you for participating. Remember, all this is designed to give you guys immigration information that can help you. Anything that's specific where you need legal advice about your specific situation, your circumstances, where you just can't find the answers, that's why I'm here. So this is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer and former high school teacher, signing off, wishing you guys all the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call, well, Canadian immigration. Take care, everyone.